Welcome to another installment of Free Game. Today we're going to be talking about forgiveness, when it makes sense to give it and when it obviously doesn't. For those of you who don't know, my name is Bluecentric. I'm a writer, producer, and an emotional intelligence coach who specializes in self-mastery and ego death. And I tend to cover self-mastery and ego death specifically through the lens of pop culture and politics. But before we get started, because I see the room is already filling up pretty quickly, I'm going to put in the URL for our upcoming workshop. Those of you who are returning, welcome back. For those of you who are new here, welcome. It's good to have you. I love the new faces that I've been seeing. Let me just pin this. Free Game is a series that we do every week leading up to my emotional intelligence workshop called Own Thy Shift. Own Thy Shift is a 8-week workshop that we do on Zoom every Wednesday for 2.5 hours internationally. The last class just ended in, a week ago. It's only been a week. Oh my God. Why am I acting like it was months ago? The last class just ended last week. A whole group of us got together for 8 weeks. We became a family. People were crying and feeling like really, really sad the last day because it really starts to feel like, oh my God, this is my tribe. And the beautiful thing about it being on Zoom and it being live is, number one, it's live, right? So it's not a canned video where you're just kind of like playing along like masterclass or those other kind of workshop programs. And not only do you get to talk to me live, it's international. We had Nigeria, Dubai, Australia, Trinidad, and Canada show up in the last class. So and Portugal show up. So this last class that we just had was hands down the most international one that I've ever had. And I love the fact that people from different parts of the globe, forget the country, people from different parts of the globe were able to come together. So to get y'all prepared to figure out if you want to join us for the next one that is kicking off in about 5 weeks. My God, that is sooner than I realized. The next one is kicking off in a little bit over a month. And so every week leading up to class, I'm going to be doing Free Game where I give you guys free tidbits about emotional intelligence and just basically how to get through the world with tools, right? Because EQ is not about being perfect, because that's literally impossible. Having emotional intelligence is about being whole and being equipped. And so my job is to equip you guys. And I'm hoping that when I give you free tools on here, then it might motivate you to join the class. Anybody who's coming in, if you look in the pinned section, the URL is ots25.eventbrite.com. That is OTS, which stands for Own Thy Shift, 25, which is this year, .eventbrite.com. Okay, that's all the housekeeping. Because I had a friend tell me, Blue, you have too many new people who are finding you. Make sure that there's an intro before all of your lives. So that's me complying. Now that we've gotten the housekeeping out of the way, let's talk about today's class. I'm smiling because I feel like a lot of times when I do these videos and these workshops and these free game sessions, it's always about how to protect yourself from some bullshit. This time, well, I'm going to always talk about that because life is full of bullshit. But this time, we're going to be talking about forgiveness. Now, why is that the topic this week? Because the time is actually really on purpose. It is Mercury in microbraids, right? We all know that retrograde season, there's a Venus retrograde, a Mercury retrograde. A retrograde means that the planets are crip walking backwards across your psyche and trying to fuck you over. And when that happens, it's a time where people become very introspective and they start missing people. Right? It's spin the block season, guys. We're already in it. We are in a season for the next several weeks where you're going to find yourself potentially missing people that you haven't talked to or thought about in months, if not years. And conversely, people who haven't talked to or thought about you in a long time might start missing you too. And whenever you're having a conversation around nostalgia and missing people and circling the block, you cannot avoid the topic of forgiveness. Let me read a comment real quick. It says, oh my God, I knew it was going to be something I needed to hear and I was ready for it to be forgiveness. Yes, you wasn't ready for it to be, forgiveness. Today we're talking about forgiveness. When it's real and when it's bullshit. And we can't talk about forgiveness. We can't talk about forgiveness. The Latin tongue. Every time I speak English, it sounds like I speak in Spanglish. We can't talk about forgiveness without talking about apologies. So let's get into it. If you're new here, I need to let you know this is not going to be something that you just listen to. You can if you want. If you just want to hear the sound of my voice, that's fine. But because this is free game and I'm an educator who's teaching classes, who's hoping that watching this will make you want to join our classes, that means I'm going to give you things that you can write notes about. If I as the teacher, have notes. Guess what that means about you as the person listening. So please, this whole time I've been talking, I've been giving you time to grab a notepad and a pen, because you will be walking away with something to write down and hopefully something that can help you navigate through the world better. Everything that I do around emotional intelligence is about navigating through the world better. And for you reality show junkies out there, we're going to be using Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. For you podcast junkies and morning radio junkies, we're going to be also talking about the Breakfast Club and what happened with Jess Hilarious and Charlemagne and DJ Envy and what's the other girl's name? Lauren LaRosa. She's new, but she's amazing. We're going to be talking about how this applies to pop culture to make it sink in that these are not just random things that I'm teaching you. They apply to everyday life. Now, let's talk about apologies real quick, right? Because I don't know how to say this nicely, so I'm just going to say it honestly. Everybody in my life knows that at some point throughout the year, it happens every year without doubt, I'm going to have a story about somebody apologizing to me. I get apologized to several times a year. Now, why is that? It's not because I'm the smartest bitch to ever live. It's not because I'm perfect. And it's not because I'm a saint. It's because I'm consistent. And when you have a consistency of character, that shows that you are not a malicious person, and you fall out with someone who, because of their pain, their trauma, their triggers, are determined to misunderstand you. Once they've come down from their ego tantrum and have maybe gotten some therapy, gotten their wig snatched by life or heartache, or just had a friend pull them aside, they usually find themselves thinking, I probably need to apologize to that consistent person who I know didn't mean me any harm. Right? People who have consistent, stabilizing characters tend to get apologized to a lot. Shout out to the earth signs, okay? If you are a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn who's had a little bit of therapy, people apologize to you a lot, right? So because I get apologized to a lot, I have actually really learned how to streamline very quickly how to figure out which apologies are real versus which ones are traps and pure bullshit. All right. So the first thing I'm going to say is last year, I think last year I had 4. Last year I had 4 people apologize to me. Of the 4 people who apologized to me, I only accepted and believed 1. And guess what happened? The one apology that I accepted ended up being someone who truly loved me, truly cared about me, and since I accepted their apology, has done everything in their power to make me understand how much they miss me and currently value me. So the one person of the 4 people who apologized to me was a great investment. The 3 other people who apologized last year, whose apologies I didn't take, thank God. All 3 of them ended up talking shit about me, ended up slandering me to other people, and are now currently lying to all of our mutual friends about what happened. So the fact that my track record in 2024 was 100%. For those of you who are coming in later, we're talking about forgiveness and apologies because it's Mercury retrograde season and how to know when an apology is real versus when an apology is a trap. This is going to apply to your love life, your friendships, work partnerships, your agent, your manager, your childhood best friend, your mammy, your pappy. There's not a single iteration of life where I haven't used this trick where it has not worked. So hopefully I've convinced you. Y'all ready for the tips? Okay. So how did I get 4 apologies in 2024? 3 were traps and 1 was real. And how was I able to so quickly, because it happened like almost instantaneously, tell which person gave me a real apology versus which people were just trying to trap me so that they could abuse me again? Well, it's going to come down to the way that they speak. Somebody said, oh, this is the perfect subject. They were consistent about being the problem. I love reading the comments, but it's always so sucky because when I save these videos, I can't see the comments. So I feel like I'm missing so much good dialogue. Anyways, this is going to be so simple that when I explain it to you, you're going to be like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? Let's first talk about a fake apology. Actually, let me not say fake, because fake people don't know that they're fake. That's part of being fake. People lie to themselves before they lie to anybody else. This is how I'll use that word. This is how an insincere apology starts. And I'm actually about to mimic some of the folks who gave me bullshit apologies last year. Hey, yo, Blue, I love you so much. Like, I miss you. Like, why aren't you picking up my calls? Like, yo, like, what's happening? I miss your energy. We have so much fun together. Like, it's not that serious. Can we hang out? Let's do something together. I love you so much. Like whenever I think back about, all the times you made me laugh and all the good times we shared. The other day I was just telling so-and-so, insert name of mutual friend, how if I'm going through something, I could call you at 2:00 in the morning and you'll sit there on the phone with me and help me out. Like, come on, like this is silly. I miss you. That's a fake apology, guys. Now, why is that a fake apology? Because some of you who are listening to this are going to be like, wait, that's how I apologize. Shout out to the fire signs, right? So some of you who are going to be listening to this are going to be like, wait, that's exactly how I apologize. This mother sucker told you that he missed you and was reminiscing about all the great times you had and said he loved your energy. So what is the issue, Blue? What's your problem? Because a friend of mine said the exact verbiage to me about an apology that I rejected. And then 3 months later, she had to apologize to me because that person ended up talking shit about me and was trying to trap me. What was wrong with that apology? What did you hear? I like how you make me feel. I miss the good times that I was able to have in your presence. I love you. And therefore, stop being silly, dismissive, and take me back. I'm sorry. I need your energy. I need your light. When I rephrase it like that, what are you hearing? A fake apology is internally focused on all the things and experiences that someone doesn't get to have access to as a result of you removing yourself from their lives. That is selfish. That apology said, service. Blue, I miss how you poured into me. I miss how you were there for me. I missed our good times that you had to be there for me to have. It's a selfish apology because the entire apology is subconsciously steeped in the deficit that me leaving their life has created. That don't have shit to do with me. When you are getting an insincere apology from someone who's either trying to trap you or who is so emotionally immature, they don't even know they're full of shit. Because actually, one of the 3 people who gave me a fake apology is so fucking stupid mentally. Like when I'm talking about mental health and mental awareness and mental clarity, this is someone who's brilliant academically, but who's an emotional dummy, right? I knew that he didn't even know he was full of shit, but I did. When someone is giving you a fake apology, I miss you and I love you, is put in place of accountability. They're going to talk about how life is worse without you in it or not as good without you in it. Then they're going to try to weaponize nostalgia and good moments. And if you're dealing with someone who's extra clever, they're going to figure out the 1 or 2 times that they were actually there for you and try to weaponize that as well. If someone's saying they're sorry to you or they want to come back into your life and they're like, girl, I always had your back. I always loved you. What does that have to do with the thing that you did that made me stop talking to you though? You loving me Monday through Friday doesn't mean you get to give me your ass to kiss on Saturday and Sunday. If they start talking about missing you and having access to all the perks of being in your presence, that is a fake apology. That is an insincere apology. Somebody said deflection. Yes, deflection. That is a selfish me based apology, which means if you take that person back, as soon as you take them back, they're going to try to rush the intimacy so they can go back to having access to all those perks that come from having you without doing any of the work or accountability to make you safer than you were the first time. That, ladies and gentlemen, is called a trap. The 3 people who called me on some, Blue, I love you, I miss you, we had such a good time. Bullshit. Please get off my phone. Not a single one of those people who said any of those things to me ever got to hear from me again. Right? Now let's talk about the only apology. I hope this person sees this because they're a really good human being. You see how hard I'm smiling? Mind you, this is the biggest gag. The person who actually gave me the real apology was the person who broke my heart the most. For those of you who are coming in, we are talking about, I see Nina, I see Jean, I see Paul, I see KR, I see so many beautiful people I adore. So I love that you guys are coming in for this because you're all people who have bright lights, who folks are probably going to need to apologize to. Today we're talking about fake apologies versus real apologies and how to spot the difference. Quick recap about a fake apology because they all sound the same. Oh my God, Blue, I love you. I miss you. We had so much fun. I can't believe we don't talk anymore. I love you so much. Remember that one time that I helped you move? I can't believe that you're being silly like this. Stop playing around. It's not that deep. It's not that serious. Please come back into my life. Me. Extra credit if they mention something nice that they've done to you because they want to weaponize that. And extra credit if they give you a sob story. People who recognize that the first blush of bullshit, which is, I love you, I miss you, why are you being silly, doesn't work, might double click on your compassion and be like, well, Blue's a really nice person. She always making all them fucking videos trying to help people. She be like fucking up, picking up stray dogs and shit. I know she got a big heart. Let me weaponize her big heart against her by telling her how much the last couple of months have sucked. If someone makes their apology to you about them, it is bullshit. Why are you telling me that your dog died and you lost your job and you're trying to apologize to me? Because the labor it would take to hold space for all those bad things that happened to you is a perk of friendship, is a perk of relationship, is a perk of you and I still being good. And the entire premise of this phone call or this dinner that we're having is that we're not good. So I haven't even forgiven you yet, and you're already putting me to work. Respectfully, if all the trees in your garden have died and you lost your job and your car's on the side of the road, telling that to the person you're trying to apologize to is fucking inappropriate. I'm not doing the labor of intimacy with someone who has just betrayed me and who I no longer hold space with. That is manipulative. Don't you dare put me to work. This is supposed to be about me. So, if you hear a sob story, a bunch of I love yous that I miss yous, a bunch of nostalgia about old shit that is completely irrelevant to how you were betrayed, you are being manipulated. Abort mission. Okay? For those who came in late, what I said earlier is last year I got 4 apologies. 3 were bullshit from people who were trying to trap me. 1 was real, and I was able to figure out 100% accuracy. Okay? Fuck 4 out of 5 dentists. 5 out of 5 dentists, okay? 100% accuracy. I was able to recognize, wait a minute, we're talking about you a lot in my apology. Why are you being centered in my apology? Your love for me, you're missing me. For those who were people that I used to mess with, how much your penis missed me. Like, none of that is going to my head, right? Because when a man in particular is talking to a woman who he knows has a tender heart, or a woman is talking to the nice guy that she fucked over, y'all love to think that compassion means that we are stupid. Compassion doesn't mean stupid, right? So that is the fake apology. Every single person who gave me a fake apology, on a scale of 1 to 10, their betrayal was about a 7.5, almost an 8. It was pretty deep. Like, I'm a Taurus, I'm an earth sign. I don't let go of people unless I have no choice, right? So if I'm trying to cut you off, you showed your ass a lot, okay? Now here's the gag. The person whose apology I accepted, I said this earlier, their betrayal was a 10. Their betrayal was so deep and so hurtful. The pilot for the TV series that I wrote when I first moved to LA was completely inspired by how badly they fucked me over. I wrote an entire series pilot based on how deeply I was dismayed, hurt, and disoriented by this person. And yet, despite them being in the top 5 of betrayals that I've ever experienced outside of my family, because your family's gonna always be the top 5, I'm sorry. Outside of my family, this person is in the top 5, if not top 3 of betrayals in my life. And yet, they were the only person that I felt comfortable taking back last year. And they have proven me right every single month since then. Some of the most beautiful moments where I felt the most seen, checked on, have been at the hands of the person who 7 years ago shattered me. How is that possible? I'm not going to get emotional. How is that possible? Well, let you hear this person's apology. I'm going to use they, them pronouns because I don't want anybody to know if this is romantic or friendship or whatever, because a lot of my exes stalk my page. So I don't want nobody who's trying to figure out who I'm fucking to be using this as a weaponized things against me. All right, here it goes. I'm getting emotional, so I'm trying to come back into my body. I was minding my business last summer after telling 3 people that I deeply loved and cared about to suck my dick because they had me fucked up. When I got a DM, and within the first sentence, I was like, oh God, this is another apology. And from this person, my first thought was, I thought I blocked you. So I was surprised. Like, motherfucker, I wrote a whole pilot of a series in your honor. Like, how did you even get through me? So I don't even know how this person got through. That's a great question. I need to look that up. How did they get through? Anyways, I get a DM, and the DM says something to this effect. I'm going to paraphrase, but it's like burned into my heart. Hey, Blue. I know it's been a long time since you've heard from me, And if you don't want to hear from me, I would completely understand it. I am so sorry for the hurt that I can only imagine that I've caused you. I've had a lot of therapy. I've had a lot of time to think about it. And I realized not only do I miss you, but it fucks with me regularly how much I hurt a good person. You didn't deserve the way that I treated you. You didn't deserve the way that I lied to you. You didn't deserve the things that I did, even though I was in pain myself when I did it. It's just that after a lot of introspection, I realized that I was angry back then. I was on fire. I was devastated and I was mad. And I felt like the world owed me something. And you were the only person who was good to me. You were the only person who poured into me. And rather than being grateful for that, I just kept taking. I felt like you owed it to me because God owed it to me. And I fucked you over. And you didn't deserve none of that. I'm not even going to say I did it on purpose because I wasn't even thinking. Fuck if I did it on purpose. I wasn't even thinking. But I need you to know that you are a good person. And if you even feel like I'm worthy of you responding, that'd be great. And if you don't, I understand that too. Just from my own conscience, I need you to know that I know that you deserved better. I hope you found it. P.S. I've been stalking your page. I love your content. I'm so happy to see that what I did to you didn't stop you from growing. That's the only apology that I accepted last year. So let's talk about what happened in that apology. When someone is giving you a fake apology, insincere apology, or an apology that they don't even realize is manipulative, they center themselves. They center the fact that they need you to know that they're not a bad person. They center the fact that they miss you, that they love you, that they think it's ridiculous that you're willing to throw away all these years or all these months or all this great sex over something so silly. They diminish, they deflect, and they center themselves and their egos. When someone is sincerely sorry in the depths of their soul, the only thing they center is their impact on you. They center your pain. They center what you were robbed of. They center your perspective. And then they explain to you what they've done to come to learn about themselves from what they did to you. Even if they didn't mean it, they don't give a fuck. They recognize that intention doesn't negate impact. And if you accidentally hit somebody with your car, your leg is still broken, right? If somebody hits you with a car, the car don't care that you didn't mean it. Their broken tibia doesn't care that you don't mean it. They only focus on centering their impact and give you clarity that you didn't even ask for about why it happened, and simply say, I want you to know I am sincerely sorry that I hurt a good human being. Do y'all see how that feels different? That entire email was about me. Sorry, the DM. The entire DM that I received from this person, one of my greatest betrayals of all time, was about me. And the only time they mentioned themselves was to give me insight into how they evolved into the version of themselves that now knows better. If you give me an apology that doesn't have all those elements, I'm not receiving it. You don't get to just crack a joke and send me a bunch of memes and hope I forget. So let's go over the steps, guys, because there are steps to a great apology. And it's so funny because a great apology is something that I've learned how to intuitively receive. But when I went back and read that email, like I read the DM like, excuse me? Because I'm paraphrasing, this person spent about 2 paragraphs dragging themselves. I was like, damn, I didn't know you were going through all that. And granted, they were not telling me that what they were going through as a sob story. They were giving me context for why they were so full of shit. Again, for those who are just coming in, we're talking about real apologies versus fake apologies. So let's get down to the notes, because y'all know the whole point of free game. For those who are coming in, this is our weekly installment of free game. Every week, I'll be giving you free tips on emotional intelligence in the hopes that you join us for the Own Thy Shift self-improvement and self-mastery workshop. The link is at the bottom, ots25.eventbrite.com. So let's talk about what happens when you are getting a fake apology again. Let's rewind, right? So fake apologies versus real apologies. And for those who came in late, you just missed me pretty much doing a method acting rendition of the 3 fake apologies I got last year and the 1 really sincere apology that I got last year. Someone said, please post this on YouTube. I'm going into my daughter's game. No problem, love. All right. So fake apology equals I missed having access to you. And yeah, you were hurt, but I'm a good person though. Every fake apology comes down to that. Yeah, I know you were hurt, but like, you know I'm not Hitler. You know I'm not the worst nigga to ever live, so what's the problem? Right? Every fake apology is someone telling you that they love you and they miss you and their ego needs you to absolve them of how shitty they feel for how they did you. That is selfish as hell. Don't you ever get on my phone, in my DMs, or in my face at a function and approach me asking me to do labor after you've already betrayed me. You must have me fucked up. Do I look like Aunt Jemima? I don't. I don't look like Aunt Jemima, right? So when someone is giving you a fake apology, you guys were doing this because Mercury in retrograde got everybody missing their exes and their old friends. And I want y'all to know when you're full of shit or when they're full of shit with an apology. Every fake apology is, I love you, I miss you, yeah, I hurt you, but like, I'm not a bad person. A real apology says, I'm going to read it from the notes, guys. I acknowledge that I hurt you. This was my state of mind when I hurt you, so I can give you clarity about why I had you fucked up. Here is what I've come to learn from being introspective and actually thinking about how my actions impact others. And this is how I want to move forward, right? So there's 4 components of a sincere apology. A sincere apology starts with acknowledgement. By the way, guys, for those who have taken my class, guys, I see a lot of my alumni are in here. Because the alumni know free game, which is this live, is different from the actual class. Every single emotionally intelligent conversation that you will ever have with another human being where you are trying to bridge a gap about a disagreement or a miscommunication has to start with acknowledgement. If you ask anybody I've ever had sexual relationships with or been friends with, I, being the stubborn Taurus that I am, refuse to have any conversation with any breathing adult human being unless they first acknowledge my lived experience. We not getting out this car. I'm not going to fight for my reality because that's the basis of gaslighting, right? So if you can't even acknowledge my lived experience, we don't even need to continue this fucking conversation. I said friendship grief is real, but also don't let it make you go back and don't let it make you go against your better judgment. Talk about it, Aaron, right? So the first way that you know that someone actually is sorry, sincerely remorseful, is that they are not running away from simply acknowledging their impact. Fuck their intention. They acknowledge their impact. If you can't say the words, Blue, I know I hurt you. If you would rather walk into a wall than simply fucking admit that you hurt me and it wasn't okay, we don't have anything else to talk about. That's step 1. Someone who can't acknowledge their impact has no business talking to a bitch like me. No offense. I'm going to run circles around you and hurt your feelings, right? So if you ever want to just take away one thing from this live, is that don't you ever in your life be vulnerable or transparent about sacred things with someone who won't even acknowledge what happened. Because what happened to you, only you can say. So nobody gets, by the way, guys, this is something that I really, really hate. And hate is not a word that I use often. When someone is talking to you and they say, you hurt my feelings, you are not allowed to say, I disagree. Wait, who told you you had to agree with my feelings? People who feel small, when you tell them that they've hurt your feelings, feel compelled to assert their dominance by telling you that they disagree with your lived experience. Are you crazy? Are you mad? I have clients that I talk to, because you guys know I had my metrics done for last year. Last year in 2024, I served 420 individual clients, which is funny because 420 is weed and that's next month, right? So last year, I spoke to 420 human beings with about a 60 to 70% return rate. That's a lot of people returning to me, right? And the one thing I will tell y'all, and this is going to be tricky because I feel bad whenever I say this. The one thing that I've learned from having my clientele explode the last couple of years is that the most obvious thing that people talk to when they are having a reading, a coaching session, a therapy session, or talking to a sex worker, you guys, those are the four groups of people who hear all the tea. Therapists, coaches/counselors, psychics, and sex workers. Y'all have to confess your sins to all 4 groups. And I used to work in phone sex, so I'm saying sex worker because I've been 3 out of those 4. right? There's 4 professions where people confess their sins. I've been 3 of those things. And one of the things I've recognized is the number 1 topic is your love life or desirability, right? People are always the most embarrassed talking about their love lives with their friends when it comes down to like their deepest insecurities. So they save it for us because we're on the payroll and our only job is to serve you, right? A therapist is there to serve you. A counselor/coach is there to serve you. A sex worker is definitely there to serve you, right? A psychic is there to serve you. And because you think she's psychic, you know she already probably knows the truth. And so as someone who has constantly traversed spaces where people are confessing their sins, the number 1 topic that people talk about is their love lives. And yet, guess what I've learned in the past 22 years of doing this work? In 22 years of working as a sex worker, a coach, and a psychic, I do psychic readings too, for those of you who are new to me and don't know that part. It's very rare that I meet somebody with a broken heart. Even though the number 1 topic that people come to me for is love and relationships, the thing that is the rarest for me is to come across someone whose heart is actually broken. It doesn't happen often. Broken hearts are incredibly rare. I'm going to let y'all sit with that for a second. Broken hearts are incredibly rare. Somebody just said, huh? Even though love and relationships is the thing that I have spent the last 22 years of my life paying my mortgage and my rent, because I have one of both. It literally pays my bills. And yet, broken hearts are probably the rarest thing for me to come across. Somebody said 22 years is amazing. Didn't know you do readings too. Yeah, I do a lot of psychic readings. In fact, all my coaching clients know that I have a gift. And so they have to give me consent for me to tell them if I pick up something psychically about them. By the way, that's the reason why I couldn't be a therapist. Oh, that reminds me. I meant to share a quick aside before we go on to why broken hearts are so rare. I recently, shout out to the old heads, shout out to anybody here who's was born between the years of actually born before 1990. If you were born before 1990, shout out to you, because I'm about to pull up something. This is my journal from 1998. I was cleaning out my house in Boston, because you guys know I have to take care of my family home in Boston and my duplex here in LA. And I found my journal from 1998. And I want to read an entry that young Blue, I was a baby. I want to read an entry that I wrote in 1998. By the way, guys, this is why I recommend having journals, right? Because Elon Musk can't just shut down a website and make me lose this because it's pen and paper, right? Let's bring back pen and paper. Saturday, December 5th, 1998, 9:32 a.m. I've always been a little OCD, which means I even put the time, okay? Last night, I realized that I'm really cheating myself by not taking control of my life. Things I want will never be mine until I get rid of all my baggage. How much baggage did I have in 1998? I was still a minor. Ciao. Okay. I need to take control of my life. Fast forward. By the way, because the whole next 2 paragraphs are about school and math class and me trying to get good grades. Shout out, spoiler alert, I got good grades. I got a full scholarship to college. Also last night, I decided to change my major to psychology. I realized that I want to be a relationship therapist. This idea came to me while I was folding ties while working at Bloomingdale's, a job that I actually have to be at noon today, so I should probably wrap this up. So in 1998, Baby Blue was trying to balance her checkbook, get A's in school to get a scholarship to college, and about to go to work. I was a minor. Now, why am I sharing this? In 1998, I decided that I didn't just want to be a writer. I wanted to be a relationship therapist. Until I actually got a full scholarship to school and realized it's inappropriate to be psychic and be a therapist. You cannot, in the middle of a reading with someone, tell them, bullshit, your grandma just told me you're lying. You can't. I learned that the hard way. So, because I couldn't be a therapist, because it's inappropriate to be a clairsentient/claircognizant and be a therapist, I had to go into coaching. Right? I had to go into a field where I didn't have HIPAA and anything else stopping me from being spiritual. Now, why am I mentioning this? A lot of times people don't realize that you have to pivot, but still stay in the realm of your dream, right? My dream was to be of service and be a relationship therapist. I actually, funny enough, see more patients, clients, whatever you want to call them, as a coach than a lot of my friends who are actually therapists, right? And the thing about being someone who's not a therapist, but who's a coach who's known for being psychic, is that people know they can't really lie to you. as much as they would to a therapist, right? Shout out to all the therapists, by the way, because a lot of my coaching clients tell me that their therapists love that they have a coach, because there's certain guidelines that, for objective reasons and to make sure everybody's safe from a medical standpoint and a diagnostic standpoint, there's certain things that a coach can say to you that a therapist simply can't. And yet we're both very effective. Please don't ever conflate one for the other, right? Separate and yet very complementary. So I'm in classes, right? And I'm learning about, oh my God, these are ways that I can take my spiritual practice and my gift. For those of you who know Latin America, I'm Haitian and Cuban, and my magic comes from my Cuban side. It's called Santeria. And as I'm doing these courses, and then I'm like working with different people, I'm like, wait a minute, people are telling me that their hearts are broken, but my spirit guides keep yelling bullshit, bullshit. Every time I would try to feel bad for somebody who told me they were going through a divorce, they lost the love of their life, their sister slept with their husband, whatever. That's happened a lot, by the way. I don't know what's up with people's siblings fucking their spouses, but y'all need to stop. I get those calls a lot. So people would come to me with these grandiose stories worthy of a telenovela, and the stories were meant to be big, right? Like they were waiting for me to have a reaction, because I'm like a therapist. As a coach, I actually can have a reaction. And yet my spirit guides would be like, Blue, their heart's not broken. Their heart's not broken. Their heart's not broken. And it started to fuck with me. I was like, are my spirit guides just mean? Do you not see this lady crying? There's snot coming down her nose. Until I started developing my emotional intelligence curriculum, the one that I teach now. And as I started going through all the things that I had learned from Harvard, shout out to the Harvard School of Public Health, who educated me on how to do this properly. I didn't go to school there. I worked there. Big difference. As I was going through my coursework as an emotional intelligence coach, it suddenly hit me why my spirit guides were like, her heart's not broken either. When you are in a relationship and you are leading with your heart, that is the only time your heart could ever be broken. Most people don't enter relationships with their hearts, guys. Let's talk about it. One of the things I teach on the orientation of class, so I don't mind giving this to you guys for free because it's only on the orientation, is that the heart and the ego both serve very different but complementary functions. Please write this down. If you haven't written anything down yet, please write this down. The heart's primary function, figuratively speaking, not the heart that's pumping in your chest. The heart's primary function is to help you connect when it is safe. Heart-centered connection is safe, right? So your heart's job is to be like, hey, let's scan the room. Are we safe? Bet, let's connect. The ego's primary function is to protect what is weakened or compromised. The ego's primary function is to protect what is weakened or compromised. So when you're connecting and you are safe, that is your heart. Because the heart only connects when it is safe. When you are trying to check somebody for having you fucked up, that is your ego. Because the ego's only job is to protect. Are y'all seeing where I'm going with this? So one is to connect when safe, and one is to protect when weakened. Your ego only shows up when you are weakened. Hip hop, a genre of music that is now 51 or 52 years old, was based on ego because it was created by young black and brown men who were impoverished and had no power. That is a weakness. Anything that is baked in ego is there to protect something that would be weakened otherwise. So the only time your ego is supposed to show up is when there's weakness present. If there isn't any unsafety present, sorry, I almost choked on that word. If things are unsafe, then that's your ego's job. But if something is weak and safe, that's your heart's job. So check it, right? When someone's in a relationship and they're securely attached, and we talk about this all the time in class, secure attachment means you meet somebody, you feel safe around them, you can be transparent around them, you can talk to them about what you're going through, they can talk to you about what they're going through. If they do something that bothers you, you can tell them, hey, that bothers me, and y'all figure it out. If they tell you something that bothers them, then y'all can figure that out. You can be vulnerable, you can be weakened, but you are still psychologically safe every step of the way. And because human beings are fallible, when that person who's having a heart-centered connection with you realizes that you guys might have accidentally created an unsafe environment, then your ego comes out to advocate for you. Do y'all see what I'm talking about right now? Your heart in a heart-centered relationship is driving the car, and your ego is only there as backup. Your ego only pops up when your partner got you fucked up. Now, raise your hand real quick if you think that you are currently or have recently been in a heart-centered relationship based on those metrics. No representatives, no bullshit, no eggshells, no topic cannot at least be approached with reason and respect. Raise your hand if you've had a relationship like that, right? In a heart-centered relationship, damn, a lot of y'all said nope. I don't mean to laugh. In a heart-centered relationship, because your heart is the one who is driving the car, if you get into a car crash, your heart is what gets broken, right? And for me, as somebody who's gotten to the point, I hope so after all these years. So look at all these hands going up. For me, who comes into relationships being super transparent, a little bit because of the autism, but as somebody who's super transparent, somebody who sets boundaries, somebody who knows how to receive boundaries, somebody who can have a sense of humor and be forgiving when it makes sense and show grace when it makes sense, and also know when to pull out my ego to tell him, like, not too much, not too much. You got me fucked up. As someone who is heart-centered, who only has my ego there when necessary, I could just be dating somebody for 3 months. My heart will still be broken because my heart was there the entire time. Now let's go to the way that most of y'all do relationships. Damn, he fine. Yeah, he fine as fuck. My friends are going to gag when they see I pulled this motherfucker. I bet. Ooh, he rich. He got money. Ooh, we look cute together. Yes, we look cute together. Damn, he don't like karaoke. I love karaoke. I'm probably going to have to lie to him a little bit and tell him about that later after he's fallen in love with me. Ooh, he likes people who cook. I don't even cook like that, but fuck it. My representative cooks. People who start relationships with their egos based on shallow metrics and who bend and fold to be something that they are not, or who command that of others, right? People who come into relationships where they form attachments based on optics and what feels good, right? Feels good in a shallow way, but does not require depth or growth. You could be married for 20 years. Your heart was not broken because your heart didn't have shit to do with any of that. You are crying in the rain like a Jodeci video because you're having an ego tantrum. You had an ego attachment to this relationship, not even to the person. Because a lot of y'all love to make this meme. Oh my God, you ever see your ex and I'm like, why the fuck was I crying over him? You were not crying over him. You were not crying over her. Do you know what you were crying over? You were crying over the story, the beautiful, amazing story that you built around this person. A lot of people think that they are heartbroken about losing a person that they loved and were transparent with, when 9 times out of 10, they're actually having an ego tantrum about an attachment that they have to a story that they built around the person. Somebody said, oh my God, can you save it for later? The reason why so many of you say, why is my ex not fine no more? I thought this was the finest motherfucker to ever live when we were together. I thought this was the smartest, sexiest motherfucker to ever grace my life. And yet now, a year or two after we stopped talking, I'm like, were you always this mediocre? You're not even that cute. That's because you were not loving them with your heart. You were attaching with them through your ego. Right? You created a story. You created a grandiose story around a mediocre ass relationship. You created a grandiose story around a grown ass man who's damn near 40 and still can't communicate. You created a grandiose story around a deadbeat who doesn't give a damn about your feelings, but always has a fresh haircut when he's about to go to work and have his work wife see him. You created a grandiose story about your husband of 20 years who ain't never been there for you. But because you've known him since high school, you don't want to lose the 20 years that you already invested in this ain't shit mother sucker. Right? You created a grandiose story around your kids having both of their parents in the household because you don't want to be a failure like your mom. That has nothing to do with love. And then you come to me crying and say, Blue, my heart is broken. And my spirit guides yell, bullshit. That's why in 22 years of doing this work, 22 years of having 400 plus people a year come to me repeatedly to talk about broken hearts, it's very rare that I actually come across one. The day I woke up and realized I hated sex with my ex-fiance for 5 years, exactly. And why did you stay? Because there was a story that you had built around y'all as a couple. A lot of times when y'all use the word loyal, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a Taurus. We're supposed to be like one of the most loyal in the fucking zodiac, right? Tauruses are known for their loyalty. It's literally considered one of our superpowers. Because of the work that I do, I don't use the word loyal anymore. Whenever someone tells me they're being loyal to a person, what they're really being loyal to is their attachment to the relationship that they created in their head. The person is very, very rarely deserves loyalty. right? Oh my God, that's been my best friend since I was 10 years old. Yeah, she's a hater and she keeps flirting with my husband and she doesn't ever clap for me. But like, we've known each other since we were kids. What exactly are you being loyal to? She sounds horrible. This sounds like a bad friend. Yeah, but I love her. You're attached to her. What do you love about her? A lot of times when I am in session with my clients, whether you're taking the class, the link's at the bottom. Somebody says, damn, this is hitting home. It is, because you're lying to yourself. You're having an ego tantrum and you're convinced you have a broken heart. A lot of times when people come to me and they tell me a story, number one, I need you guys to understand. Please don't ever come to an autistic person looking for a reaction, right? People will tell me these really big stories and you can tell that they want me to react. So they're like, oh, she's not reacting. I just told her that my baby daddy slept with my father and now they're in an illicit affair going to the courthouse to have a gay wedding. Like, why is she not reacting? True story, by the way. And they'll tell me these stories and I just listen. And I wait for them to be done. I will wait. And I'm actively listening. I'm not placating them. I'm not humoring them. I'm not talking shit in my head. One of my superpowers is I'm fully present. By the way, I charge too much not to be fully present, right? It's just, I'm not cheap. So in the sessions, I am fully fucking present. Me and my spirit guides, you have our full attention. And then when they're done, I say, I'm going to assume that every single word that you said was true. Now what? The disappointment that they experience in that moment, because they're always disappointed. Disappointment that they experience in that moment is because they have gotten used to using that story to get a hit of dopamine, right? When you tell a story that is grandiose, when you tell a story that is full of backstory and the weird characters and epic betrayals, I'm Latin American. I grew up watching telenovelas. I get it, right? When you are used to telling those stories, your body doesn't know you're telling a story. In that moment, your body is re-experiencing the trauma. And guess what feeds the trauma even more? Big reactions. I'm watching you abuse yourself. I am not going to help you. So I'm going to let you do it. I'm going to let you whoop your own ass for 20 minutes of this 60-minute session because you like the high that you get from putting on this performance that I didn't pay for. I'm going to let you get your Denzel on, right? You think you Othello right now, right? Get it out. Get it out. Because your entire life, you thought that that nasty ass story that re-victimizes you was your gift from the shit that you went through. And when you are done, now I can finally get to work. Right? If you don't want something to grow, stop feeding it. Some of you do not realize that you are miserable because you are addicted to these stories. Stop telling them. The fact that you even need to tell them tells me how much pain you're still in. Does that make sense, guys? That's why I say that it is very rare that I meet somebody with a broken heart. Because what happens more often is I meet someone who's being held captive by a story that they created and can't let go. Any questions? I want to make sure that I create space for questions. That motherfucker you crying about wasn't even that great, I promise you. Because guess what? If they were great, they would have called you with a real apology. And if for those of you who came late, I did a whole thing about a real apology. In fact, somebody just wrote in here real quick that they wanted to hear what a real apology sounds like. So I'm going to do an abridged version really quickly. Somebody said, how do you let go? You let go. Well, first of all, that's what we answer in class. You guys, the whole point of free game is that I'm giving you little tidbits so you can take the class. I'm not going to teach the whole class for free online. I still have a mortgage and a rent to pay. I love y'all, but I'm not doing all that. But for those of you who want to take the class, we go in depth about how to let go. And it's not one of those TED Talks where I say a bunch of inspirational shit and read off my resume and then you get off the phone like, but my life still sucks. I give you tools. People who take my class walk away with notebooks full of tools, right? And so I want you to understand this is not about making you feel good. It's about arming you. Coaching, therapy, healing is not supposed to be comfortable. The intention of doing this work is not to make you comfortable. It's to build your capacity to beat the world as it actually is. People who are delusional, people who freak out, people who are scared of rejection, run away from life because they don't have the capacity. My job is to build capacity. It's not to make you comfortable. And the funny thing is, comfort makes you a slave too. If you're a slave to comfort, that means you never grow. And when you're 70 or 80, my mother used to work in a nursing home. The girls who didn't grow did not age well. Somebody said, getting rid of the story. Yes, getting rid of the story is part of it. That's easier said than done. There are certain things that you have to do to get rid of the story. And there's certain language that we give you to help you get rid of the story, because the story's going to fight for its life. By the way, guys, for those of you who were here at the very beginning, I said I'm Blue Tulusma. I'm a writer, producer, and an emotional intelligence coach who specializes in self-mastery and ego death. The thing about ego death is, because the ego's job is to protect what is weakened, the ego is going to freak out when you get stronger. That's why it has to die for you to grow up. If you grow up and become healthy, you're about to make your ego become unemployed. And so whenever somebody's working with me, there's always going to be a moment where they're doing so well, they're going to want to sabotage it. If you found out that you were going to be out of a job when a conversation was over, wouldn't you try to disrupt the conversation? Your ego is going to try to fuck you over harder than any outside party ever will. That's why a death of the ego is a necessity for growth. There's no way around it, right? I specialize in ego death because I work in Hollywood. I work in the entertainment industry. A lot of my clients are singers, producers, people, other therapists. By the way, I'm going to tell you this, right? 40% of my clientele is coaches and therapists. My own peers make up the largest majority of my client. Why is that? Because if you are a therapist or a coach or a counselor who doesn't have your own therapist, coach, or counselor, it's easy to have a God complex, because in your world, everybody's doing worse than you. And so it's easy to think that you know everything. You need somebody who doesn't give a fuck about what you got going on, who's going to tell you the objective truth. And that's why I have a coach, even though I am a coach, right? And don't you ever have a therapist who doesn't have a therapist. That shit is dangerous. God complex coming out the ass. The reason why, despite the work that I do, I'm not big-headed. My life won't let me be big-headed. There's about 3 people who love me, who are willing to pull me aside every time I fuck up. And so, bringing it back to the original topic of an apology, the reason why acknowledgement is step 1 of an apology is because someone who thinks that they're too good or too smart to apologize, someone who thinks that their goodness makes them exempt from being fallible, which is to be human, is delusional. If you can't simply say, I'm sorry I hurt you, without the word if, I'm sorry if I hurt you is not an apology. If you can't simply say, I'm sorry I hurt you, I actually don't want to read the rest of your DM. We don't need to finish this phone call. Conversation open, right? So step 1 of a good apology is acknowledgement. Step 2, guys, is clarity regarding what went wrong. For anybody who's dealt with narcissists or people who are narcissistic, which is a growing population, right? Because having narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, is very rare. It's a very small percentage of the population that have been diagnosed with NPD. But being narcissistic is on the rise because of social media, right? Everybody wants to be a brand. Everybody wants to be an expert. I've been doing this for 22 years. I didn't call myself an expert until like 5 years ago. I know people who learned about something during the pandemic who now think that they need to be on Dateline. It's weird. We're in weird times. Everybody wants to be in charge of something, right? Everybody wants to talk. Nobody wants to listen. If you ask Bridget Kelly, my friend Bridget, she stays with me sometime when she's in LA. I spend 80% of my time learning and only 20% of my time teaching. The reason why I never run out of things to teach is because I'm constantly learning, right? So make sure that you're dealing with somebody whose ego is not above reproach and who has clarity about what went wrong. Now, the reason why this second part is important is because once you acknowledge that you hurt me, if you are still acting confused about what went wrong, then statistically speaking, it's guaranteed to happen again. It's guaranteed to happen again. A mistake that has not been fully acknowledged is almost guaranteed to happen again. Shout out to America. America is repeating the sins of Hitler because we never fully admitted how full of shit we were. We're living in a country that's literally a proof of concept of what I just said, right? A mistake that will not be examined is almost destined to be repeated. And so if somebody cannot give you clarity about what went wrong, but wants to say sorry, they're not safe. Number 1, confusion is usually a lie. So they're probably lying. They know damn well what the fuck went wrong. And number 2, if they sincerely don't know, they need to figure that shit out before they come back. What went wrong, bruh? And a lot of times, it's not that fucking complicated. What really makes it really interesting to me is people will find it so easy to hurt you, but then suddenly complicated when it's time to just acknowledge what they did. Right? Destruction is so easy, but creation is so hard, right? So I need you guys to think about it. If you're going to apologize to somebody during retrograde season, if you cannot provide clarity from your perspective about what went wrong, without bullshitting or making excuses or talking about you're a good person, because nobody cares that you're a good person. Good people are the majority of who betrays us. We don't get betrayed by horrible people. Betrayal by definition means that somebody that you thought you were good did you dirty. That's literally what the word means. Words mean things, guys. You can only be betrayed by somebody that you care about. And most of you only care about people that you think are good. So you telling me that you're a good person in response to betrayal is literally irrelevant. Well, you know my heart. Yeah, I do. I also know what the fuck you did to me. What does your heart have to do with the fact that you still did it? Again, I'm not going to give you credit for not being Hitler. I'm just not. That's a very low bar. Number 3 on the list of a perfect apology, because a perfect apology just has to be sincere, is highlighting their personal growth. How have you evolved? I posted this before. I'm probably going to post it again because I feel like I post it at least once a year. When it comes to reconciliation, when it comes to apologies, when it comes to circling the block with someone like me who just knows better, I have one mantra. This mantra is what stops me from making risky tests, because I'm a Gemini rising, Gemini Venus. Shout out to all the Geminis. Geminis are mischievous. So y'all see me talking all this big shit on here. It gets to 2 a.m. on a lonely night, and I be wanting to text people. I'm not even gonna hold you. I'm woman enough to admit it, okay? I be wanting to send a risky text. And there's one mantra I've had for the last 10 years or so that always reminds me to stay in my body. I think about the person who hurt me, and then I chant to myself and to them telepathically, evolve or stay gone. That is my mantra that keeps me on track. I do not want anybody who has ever hurt me to return unless they have evolved. Evolve or stay gone. Evolve or stay gone. To all my exes who like to stalk my page, shout out to y'all. If you're wondering if I'm ready to hear from you again, did you evolve? If you can't answer honestly yes to me and God, stay gone. Did you evolve? Because guess what? When you come back, I want to know what happened. I would like to know who's this new person. I want to learn the new you. I actually had somebody apologize to me a couple years ago. He was so fine. I was stupid, but he was so fine. And he was like, yeah, I've evolved. Because he'd be watching my lives, and I'm very consistent. And I was like, oh, word, how? This mother sucker started stuttering. I said, wait a minute. You just told me you evolved. That's a really big statement, which means it's not something you say casually. How? You know, I'm a different kind of man now. Really, what kind of man are you? I want to learn the new you. I mean, you know, I just changed. I know those are all very general. I'm asking you a specific question. Give me an example of how you evolved. You could literally see his brain saying, oh, shit. Because he thought him just saying a buzzword was going to be, no. When you evolve, I want to learn the new you, my guy. This new version of you that you've come back as, well, who is he? I would like to see it. How have you evolved? If you can't answer that question, which is, by the way, a very basic question for someone who's actually done the work, because people who've actually done the work can't shut up about how they've evolved. That friend I told you who was top 5 of betrayals I've ever experienced, they sent me a DM with a lot of detail about how they've evolved. I realized how full of shit I was. I had to go get me a therapist. My life exploded. I moved to this place and X, Y, and Z, and I'm doing this kind of work now. Like, they could not shut up about how much they evolved. People who actually evolve have a lot to say about it, right? So if you told me you evolved and you have nothing to say, I already know you lying. And guess what's another reason why I need you to evolve? What did I say earlier, right? When you are in a heart-centered, healthy relationship, where you're leading with your heart, not perfect, because nobody's perfect, but when you're in a heart-centered relationship, that means your heart is constantly trying to connect because it feels safe. People who are safe are transparent. People who are safe don't walk on eggshells, right? Heart-centered people, which means that if it doesn't work out, your heart will be broken. Make sure that they can talk about things without having to feel like they're being cautious because they're scared about being abused. Which means if you want to reconcile with me because you've evolved, I want to meet the evolved you so me and him can talk shit about the old you, right? Isn't that what friends do? Isn't that what lovers do? I don't want to forgive or forget. I want us to get to a place where you've evolved so much and I've evolved so much, we can talk about the old shit with stunning clarity and laugh about it. Like, yo, we used to be on some bullshit. If I can't talk about the old you, that means it's because you're still him. If I can't mention something that the old you did, it's because the current you still wants to do that shit. Me and evolved you need to be allies against the old you who had me fucked up. That's the only way a reconciliation makes sense. Right? So if you're real sensitive about him, it's because you still are him. You guys, I'm giving you cheat codes because you know there's going to be a couple of narcissists who are going to watch this video and try to mimic what I'm saying. Right? Love bombers love to meet women like me because we educate them on how to be better liars. Which is why I don't just teach about what to look out for. I also teach about how to realize when it's a fraud or not. Right? I like to make, by the way, guys, I'm working on my book. I forgot to mention that. I feel like I just buried the lead. I'm working on my book, which is why one of the things I've recognized about the book now that I'm working on it is that I really, really embrace a lot of nuance, because a lot of people are saying now that therapy speak has been weaponized, and it has. A lot of really bad people will watch my content, the content of other coaches and people who work in this field, and use the well-meaning tools that we're giving you as a way to further cause harm. Which is why I not only tell you what to look out for, I also tell you how to call bullshit. This is usually the part where the narcissists get mad and they log off. I'm like, oh, man. Right? So you have to make sure you're dealing with somebody who's evolved. Otherwise, they must stay gone. And last but not least, fourth on the list, after they've acknowledged the impact and have clarity about what went wrong and have highlighted their personal growth, evolve or stay gone, the last step is they commit to improvement. Because an apology is not an apology without improved behavior. The only true apology, fuck what anything I just said for the last hour, the only true apology is improved behavior. I'm just telling you how to gauge who to even give a chance to watch their behavior, right? If you can't get through these steps, I don't even care how you behave. You full of shit in the conversation. If you can't even keep it a stack in the conversation, I don't need to watch nothing, right? So if somebody's made it through the first 3 steps and done a proper apology, then and only then do you get to go to step 4, which is giving them an opportunity to show you and not just tell you. We're going to do a little bit of a mimicking real quick. Somebody who's been betrayed, share in the chat a betrayal that you want me to mimic what a real apology would be. I don't know why my spirit is summoned to do this. If not, I'm going to pick energetically, because I'm already picking up on 3 scenarios, but I haven't gotten consent, and I'm really big on consent. Acknowledge the fault, pain, bring clarity to what went wrong, explain their growth from that fault, pain, and commit to improvement. You guys, by the way, you're usually acknowledge fault, pain. I don't use the word fault. I use the word impact. Because the ego loves the word fault. The ego loves to argue about whose fault it is. I don't give a fuck whose fault it is. What impact did you have on me? And whose responsibility is it? So rather than fault, change fault to impact. That's one of the things we teach in class about word nuance. So we don't talk about fault in class ever. I don't give a fuck whose fault anything is. Whose responsibility is it to fix it? Right? Because it's not your fault that your parents fucked you up, and yet it's still your responsibility to fix it. People who get stuck on fault absolve themselves of responsibility. Ego, 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 ego. Well, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. You a grown-ass man. It's still your responsibility, though. I don't give a fuck if it's not your fault. It's your responsibility. My sister-in-law put out false narratives about me and doesn't want to talk about it. I'm not going to say your name in case this is played back. For the person who wrote that one, username ending in 89, why do you perceive that she may have done that? See how I'm using my language intentionally? Why do you perceive? I'm not saying why did she do it, because it's not your place to tell me why she did it. Why do you perceive she did it? And also tell me what impact did it have on you. If you tell me why you perceive she did it and why it had an impact, I can show you guys what a true apology looks like. Someone said, a first cousin and mother working together to defame everyone around me. Oh, that's because they hate themselves. That's just miserable. My baby daddy never acknowledged how he hurt me my entire pregnancy, wishing miscarriage on me and calling me name after name, blaming me for everything, even what he said to me. Oh, you were told. Okay. All right. For the person who's talking about the baby daddy, I'm going to do the baby daddy one. An apology from a baby daddy looks like this. For this very specific situation about someone who's saying that their person who helped them sire a child verbally and mentally abused them the entire time and tried to get them to wishing a miscarriage. Okay. Y'all ready? And to this person, I don't know if you want me to say your name, so I'm just going to call you V. V, this is what a proper apology would look like from someone like him. Just an example, guys. Bringing my child into this world is probably one of the most important things that any woman could ever do, and I failed you. I am so sorry that I used the fact that I didn't get what I needed as a child as an excuse to rob you of the ability to give what my child needs from you. You deserve somebody who had your back. You deserve somebody who cared about you. You deserve somebody who at the very basis kept you safe. Instead, I put you in harm's way over and over again. As a man, there are a lot of reasons why I did that, and I'm not going to make this about me. I am sorry that I failed you and our child. I'm sorry that I created a psychologically abusive environment for you. And if you don't want to speak to me, I would completely understand that. And I also want you to know that I've put in these steps, X, Y, Z, about how to be a better person to myself and others so that our child has a better father than you had a husband or a boyfriend or a spouse. You don't deserve what I did to you, and I don't deserve your forgiveness. But our child deserves to see a better man show up for them. Is there any way that we can co-parent where I can keep you and him safe? That is the beginning of a proper apology. Impact, shortcomings, insight on growth, commitment to further doing better. Do y'all see how simple that gets to be? Nowhere in the conversation did he say something like, and I was talking about Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I was watching it last night, and at one point, Dorit, for those who don't watch the show, it doesn't matter because these are universal themes. By the way, V, let me know how you feel because that was a lot, right? And I'm also feeling that your partner had been abused in some way psychologically as a child themselves and was scared that they were not good enough to be a parent, right? And if you ever hear a real apology from him, he's probably going to speak to that fear, right? Like, someone failed me, and I was so scared of failing our child that I guaranteed it. That is how a real apology works. Introspection, acknowledgement, impact. Nowhere was an excuse. And even when he talks about what created that space, he's not playing victim, he's providing clarity. V just said, that was beautiful. I wish he told me this. He doesn't love himself to tell you that. And I'm picking up, V, but you guys know I'm a little psychic. So this is the hard part. This is why I can't be a therapist. V, I'm picking up that he can't tell you that because he resents that nobody told him what he needed to hear as a child. The things that you wish that he would tell you, he's still crying about nobody telling him. So he can't give you directions to a place he's never been. Sorry, V. Sorry, guys. I hate when I'm trying to do like a live and some psychic shit happens because y'all didn't come here for that. Well, maybe you did. All right. So somebody said, my ex called me petty for taking him off my health insurance when we broke up and is now giving me the hardest time with scheduling doctor's appointments for our kids. To that person, somebody said, V said, you're spot on. Yeah, V, your ex is very loud. He feels like a small person. And something about you he resents because he feels like you bounce back better than he does. And he's sad that, well, not sad, he resents that he couldn't bring you down to his level because by not being able to do so, he's showing himself that he was making excuses and that he could have gotten better all along. You're proof that his excuses didn't make sense, which is why he resents you. Guys, somebody said the cycle continues. V, I'm sorry. V, I'm going to tap out because I feel like I'm about to start doing a reading for you. And by the way, guys, this is why if you come to me for a coaching session or in class, I'm a claircognizant. And if you're dealing with an ex or somebody with really heavy energy, it's going to come through you. Somebody said, I think me and V dated similar men. Yeah, V, your ex resents you because of your bounce back. The funny thing is, the thing he liked about you is the thing that he grew to resent. All right, let me see if there's anybody else who wants me to mimic an apology. I might make this a business. I'm just going to start channeling people's exes and giving them the apologies that they never received. That could be a really great business around Valentine's Day. All right, so that was beautiful. I appreciate how you said that at the beginning of the apology. Most people would think that's the whole apology. No, it's not. It's not. It's just the beginning of the apology because the whole apology is the improved behavior, right, guys? I also want to make sure that when we talk about pop culture and politics, right? Pop culture. For those of you who watch Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, in the latest episode, a woman named Dorit was talking about how she felt like she deserved an apology. The person who she thought she deserved an apology from gave her a sincere apology. Instead of receiving the apology, Dorit kept cussing her out. Which brings me to the next part of a sincere apology. Do not watch this live and take all these notes on how to receive a sincere apology take somebody back who actually gave you a sincere apology and then punish them while they're trying to prove themselves. That makes you the abuser. Right? Somebody said, V, I've done several readings with Blue, life change. Oh, not life changing. Thank you, friend. No, there's some of you in here that I'm picking up heavily. Some of you in here were, I hope past tense, were planning to take what you learned in this live and weaponize it. That is not honorable. If someone says that they're sincerely going to try, and they say it in a way that gives you reason to believe them, you are not allowed to punish them while they are fixing it. You're not allowed. Because we're talking about the vulnerability it takes to receive an apology. Can we all acknowledge the vulnerability it takes to give an apology? Do you know how hard it is for a prideful person to give a sincere apology? The person who gave me that epic apology last year is a Cancer who prides themselves on being loving, who prides themselves on keeping people safe, who prides themselves on being a good human. So for them to say to me, Blue, I was angry at the world. The world kept taking from me, so I kept taking from you. I was being selfish because I forgot you were a person. Do you know how hard it was for them to admit that to me? How dare I then weaponize that, make them vulnerable, and then cause them harm? A lot of you don't want an apology. You want your turn being the abuser. That is not okay. Do not be Dorit. Do not ask for something that requires someone to be vulnerable, and then when they are vulnerable, cause harm to them in return. I'm going to pause for a second because I feel like at least 3 of y'all now feel like I just cussed you out, because I did. Somebody said, I gave my girl your info to set up a reading. Oh, thank you, love. Is it me? I can't lie. I feel like it's me. You guys, I'm trying to, because this is not class, by the way, anybody who's taking the class will tell you, this is nothing compared to class. People sob in class. People send people hug emojis in class. Like, the class is not emo, by the way. We're laughing the entire time. But because we're laughing the entire time, people feel comfortable being vulnerable. And there's always that moment in class where somebody is vulnerable and something hits them in a way that they didn't expect. And then we all hold space for them. Right? Everybody thinks they come to class for me. You're actually coming for the fellowship. Oh, for those of you who don't want to take the class because you're super private and you want to just do one-on-one sessions with me, I'm going to be honest, because in this economy, I feel like I have to be honest. The class for 8 weeks, which is 2 months, is the cost of only 2 hours with me. Right? So 2 months in a group setting is the equivalent of 2 hours with me one-on-one. So that's the reason why I do that, is because I know that in this economy, not everybody can afford my services, right? Most people start within half an hour. I think a half an hour is like $1.50. I don't know. My prices are automated. But because I know that not everybody can afford one-on-one time, the class is there so that you're in a group setting, that you're learning all these tools. And if you feel like you need a one-on-one based on things that you've learned in class, then we can do a one-on-one. But it's at a very steep discount, right? I think it's like an 80% discount. For those of you who are private and want a one-on-one, the link for that is bluecentricshop.com/readings. But we don't just do psychic readings. We just do regular coaching, right? bluecentricshop.com/readings. That is the link for one-on-one sessions. And if I have a lot of clients who will book a 3-pack, which means that they save a little bit of money. So I want to be fiscally responsible, especially as a Black business owner, to let you know that I do my best through the classes and through value packs to help this be as affordable as possible, because I understand that there are so many people who don't get counseling or therapy or coaching because they can't afford it. I make things as inexpensive as possible while still honoring my gift, right? My spirit guides are not going to let me do it for free. They're just not. Somebody said I'm private. If you're private, then I probably think that you probably want to start with a 30-minute one-on-one. And 30 minutes might sound very quickly. I'm intense. Because once I start channeling with people, we go through a lot in 30 minutes. So you might want to start off with 30 minutes if you're someone who's sensitive. Now, if you got a lot of problems, do an hour. At that point, there are people who've done 30 minutes and now it's 45 minutes in and I got to bill them, right? So do it based on what you can afford. I don't want anybody being broke to get what they need. And also what you feel like, damn, I might need to go talk to the lady. Also, I'm going to tell you guys this. Please make sure that when you are doing this work, that you start taking stock of what is your intention. Do not book time with me in class or otherwise if you just feel like, oh my God, this live was fun, I just want to talk to her. Have an intention, right? Success by definition is when your intentions are met. when your expectations are met. Please be clear about, what do I want to get from working with somebody? What do I want to get from working with a professional? Because a lot of you are waiting on apologies that are never going to come. And part of my job as a healer and a coach and a teacher is to teach you how to get closure for yourself without needing any third parties. Is it nice when I get a real apology? Absolutely. There's like 2 people right now that I love deeply that I'm praying to God learn how to properly apologize because I miss them. And yet, I would rather eat a denim jacket covered in cat piss than reach out to somebody who refuses to acknowledge their impact. Right? Love them down. Miss them often. I also have too much dignity to beg. Value doesn't beg. I post that at least once a year, right? And so please recognize that just because you miss somebody doesn't mean they're safe. The people that I miss deeply and still recognize the fact that they can't call me and pick up the phone and finally admit that they know what the fuck they did to me tells me that they're not safe. I will never seek out somebody who is not safe. That's not ego, that's my heart. What did I tell you at the beginning of class, guys? The heart only wants to connect when it is safe. The ego is there to protect what is weak. So, if you're trying to connect while being unsafe, that's not your heart, baby. That's your ego. If somebody makes you unsafe and you think, but I love them, so I'm going to reach out, that's not your heart. That's your ego. And when they hurt your feelings, they're not breaking your heart. They're fucking up your ego. Right? I hope I was clear. I feel like I've done enough for today. This is a lot to give away for free, I'm going to be honest. I hope I was also timely because I feel like a lot of people, again, during retrograde season needed to hear these messages. And now I'm going to go answer my phone because my text messages have been going off all day. All right, love y'all. I will be leaving this up on Instagram for 24 hours, but it will be permanently housed on my Bluecentric YouTube page. For those of you who watched Real Housewives and see the example I was giving about Dorit, you know what I'm talking about. That lady got an apology, a real one, and didn't accept it. Don't be a donkey. Oh, and the Just Hilarious thing. I promise you I was going to mention this. When Just Hilarious was apologizing to Lauren LaRosa, she said, yeah, I told you to shut up. But that's because you kept on talking and you wouldn't shut up. I'm sorry I told you I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, but you wouldn't shut up. Guys, don't you ever fix your mouth to apologize to somebody and then tell them it's your fault you hurt them. Don't ever tell somebody it's their fault that you decided to hurt them. That is abusive language. Telling somebody, yeah, I disrespected you, but you wouldn't shut the fuck up is abusive. I considered doing a whole live on the Breakfast Club, but then I thought better of it because that would probably hurt the feelings of some of my mutual friends. But if you ever have somebody apologize to you, or you ever apologize to somebody, and in the next breath you try to justify your bad behavior by saying it's their fault, that's abuse. That is someone who is so used to abuse, they've normalized it. Run. Don't walk, run away. Okay? Love y'all. Bye.